Tonight on the Black Channel, the message is clear. Black people are the problem, and illegal aliens are the answer. The Black Channel is live. The Black Authority, and you are listening live to the only historically black college university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. Time for you to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, there are a few things to cover here, and yet again, another reason why when you see something so insidious, when you see something rearing its head the first time, you gotta keep track of it. You cannot allow these things to get away from you. And I've been saying it here now for the longest time. It's taking a long time for everybody else to catch up, and I've been saying it here for the longest time that this idea that your black politicians are serving us, they're serving everybody except us, and I'm going to come to Bowling Ball Martin in just a little bit. Don't worry. We're going to get to him. I'm going to get to him last, but we're going to get to him. However, what we've been seeing here, and we've been following this for a while quietly, the D.C. City Council, in an almost unanimous vote, there are 13 members of the D.C. City Council. 12 of them, 12, have votians to vote in local elections. 12 of the 13, almost unanimous. So what I wanted to do here, because I felt it was necessary to put faces with this, not to just say the DC City Council, you need to put faces with this. So I've gone to the trouble of going through the list of the DC City Council. And these are your council members in DC. This is them. And as you can see, it was actually, unless this one woman, I don't know about her, Mary Shea, she's white though. She looks like she's white. So that means that all unanimous. YouTube is messing with the stream here tonight because they understand that this is a bellwether event. So I need everybody listening to me right now to make sure that you like this program and share this program. YouTube is resorting to villainous tactics now. You got to understand, they are upset with this. They are upset with this. Because we're talking about something we're not supposed to be talking about. We're not supposed to be talking about this as black folk. So make sure that you like this program and share this program tonight. All of your black members of the DC City Council, all of them have voted in order to allow illegal aliens to vote in DC. All of them. I've been monitoring this for a while, and all in an almost unanimous vote, but it was unanimous among your black city council members in DC. It's unanimous among the black city council members. Only one white woman voted against this. The rest of the DC City Council, including all of the so-called black members, have voted in favor of allowing illegal aliens to vote in the local elections. It's been sent to Mayor Bowser for her and her girlfriend, I suppose, to go ahead and consider it and see if they'll sign it. So much for Chocolate City representing That's what they're doing here. They're supposed to be representing, and yet they've made it their job to undermine that. Understand something. YouTube is messing with it super heavy tonight. Y'all understand that? We ain't even got good out the gate. YouTube is messing with it super heavy tonight. What I said before YouTube got really upset was so much for Chocolate City. Your black city council members, if you want to know what it takes to be supported by the Democrat Party to represent black folk in D.C., what it takes to represent them in D.C. is no longer Marion Barry. You have to have a bunch of black folk here these are Trojan horse candidates whose mission and goal is to undermine the black citizens of D.C. And now it has culminated in the most villainous city legislation that we've ever witnessed. Illegal aliens, non-black folk, certainly non-foundationals, not descendants of slaves, in newcomers that they bring in who are hostile towards black people and are agreeable towards the tenets and beliefs of white supremacy. Ain't no racism. Everything is just fine. Everyone talks about Lieutenant Governor Sears in the state of Virginia. D.C. is technically within the confines of the state of Virginia. Ain't nobody talking about the black folk here. They're not talking about them. So what I want to do here is go through it a little bit. Kenyon R. McDuffie. Anita Bonds, not 100% certain about you. They got some mulattoes all up through here. Christina Henderson. Looks like she could be competing to be the next Sandra Mack. I don't know about this Brianne Nadal. Do you actually have any Latinos on the D.C. City Council? Are there actually any Latinos who are on the D.C. City Council? Did Latinos and illegal aliens, did they need to actually have any of their own people on the D.C. City Council? Shout out to Tom Slick there in the super chat. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. And definitely let everybody know they're messing with us heavy tonight. So thank you to everybody who has hit the PayPal, Cash App, or super chat. They don't do Roland Martin like this. Roland Martin doesn't have technical issues dumped on him like this. And I'm going to play in a little bit for you exactly why that is. While they're telling black folk what we can't get, illegal aliens have representation on the D.C. City Council. There are no illegal aliens on the council, and yet the council has made a priority of illegal aliens. You know what they have not made a priority of? Black folk. When Marion Barry was the mayor of D.C., he made it a point to steer and help city contracts, procurement of property for black folk. I talked to Donahue Peebles in my documentary 7 a.m. He confirmed that when Marion Barry got elected, black folk were able to finally get their hands on things. In D.C. today, Clark Construction runs the yard. That ain't black folk. Clark Construction builds everything in D.C. today. That's not black folk. So you've fallen a long damn way since the days of Marion Barry. Shout out Andrew Murphy and everybody who's dropping something in the super chat. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate that. They're going to mess with us heavy. We're going to mess with them back. Lip service is not service. Miss Janice Lewis George. Boy, if I saw a bed wench in training, that's a bed wench in training if I never saw one. That's a bed wench in training right there. Y'all can take a look at her and see, boy, she got her scandal skirt ready, doesn't she? You can look at her. You can look at her. You can just look at her and see, oh, she's down. And ironically enough, she's right next to Council Member Charles Allen. Now, this guy is the one who introduced the legislation this session. In case you were wondering or guessing, this guy, Charles Allen, he's looking like the alt-right. He's the one who introduced the legislation this session. He's the one who did it. At least he's the one who introduced it. So when White Daddy in D.C. now, in D.C., I want to zoom out here so you can take a look at this again here. In D.C., what is the point? What is the point? You take a look here. How many white folk do you have on the D.C. City Council? What, 4? Maybe 5? 5 of 13. Four, maybe 5. Some of them are questionable. But all it took was Zaddy to roll up and say, hey, this is what we doing. And now we're doing it. Across the board. Nothing for black people. But now we're doing it across the board. That's not an accident. That's not an accident. When you see something like that, that's not an accident there. They sent him out there. White Zaddy said what needed to be done, and that was all they needed to do there. That was all they needed to do. Next up, here's a golden oldie, Vincent Gray. Now, I remember this creepy looking bastard. Vincent Gray was the mayor of D.C. Vincent Gray used to be the mayor of D.C. Shout out here to Shrampstein. He used to be the mayor of D.C. Now he's on the city council voting against black people. So, I don't know, is somebody bitter or angry about the mayor's race? I don't know, but Vincent Gray, if y'all remember, he used to be the mayor of D.C. I want to say he got elected after, I forget if he got elected before Fenty or Adrian Fenty or after, but Vincent Gray, this creepy looking dude, I mean, this whole city council is a bunch of real oddball, creepy looking people. I use the word term people advisedly. Some real creepy looking folks. Then you got this guy right here, Trayvon White Sr. If you Google him, what comes up is an article from page 6. I want to say New York Daily News, page 6, where they talk about he's a supporter of Louis Farrakhan and believes that Jews control the weather. To all my Kanye West supporters. Well, he's back. And he is so pro-black. This guy is so militantly pro-black that he has voted to allow illegal aliens to vote in the city of D.C. Dude looks like he should be working in a drug rehab program somewhere. He's on the city council, and he is so pro-black that he has voted to allow illegal aliens to vote in D.C. The warning has always been clear that when the day comes and the event happens, it will be your black sleeper cells that they have enabled and empowered and put into place. It'll be those black sleeper cells that when it's time in the moment of crisis, that they'll activate them. It doesn't matter if they don't get reelected. They are put there to be disposable. Shout out Keisha Bottom B, former mayor of Atlanta. She was put there for the purposes of being disposable. She was placed there for the purposes of being disposable. Making sure that it didn't matter how the election goes or how the election doesn't. We're going to go ahead and make sure that we have people here who are towing the line and carrying the water. That's what we're doing now. That was the whole point of it. So just recognize and understand why they're there. Even if you do, their purposes are not to get reelected. You know why? Because Joe Biden and them done sent the damn kite. Well, you know, whether it happens or not, don't worry, we'll help you get another government job somewhere. Oh, I'm going to drill on this. I'm going to drill on it because I got to. You take a look at her. Take a look at them eyes. Miss Janice Lewis George, y'all, don't you understand that she would sell, I can look at them eyes and see she would sell you out for a cheeseburger and a White House aide position in a minute. She'll take a White House under press secretary position in a minute. You can look at her face and see she ain't going nowhere. You can look at her and see she's born and raised and built to sell you out. She ready. Not only that, but be telling the world she doing something slick. You can look at her and see that. You don't even need me to tell you. This dude here, this Kenyon McDuffie fella, y'all, doesn't he look like Dave Chappelle with the crazy white man's wig? I ain't joking. Y'all take a look at this dude right here, Kenyon R. McDuffie. I'd like to know his background. Doesn't he look like Dave Chappelle with the damn phony white man with the Trump fight white man wig on? Where did this dude come in from? Where did he come in from? Yeah, you can see he's safe. What black agenda? What black agenda is he supporting? Which one is he in favor of? I'd like to know. Where's the black agenda that he's in favor of? Ain't seen it. This Anita Bonds, I don't know what to think. Somebody's granny from the church, I'm not certain. Miss Alyssa Silverman, well, she ain't got no skin in the game. Undermining black people only helps her. It only helps her. This Christina Henderson individual here, this is another one. I'm talking about the whole damn city council is sus as hell. I don't know if she wants to do adult films or she got the zaddy hair doing everything. Is that what it takes to get on the city council today? You got to have your zaddy hairstyle? Come on now, let's keep it real. She went with the natural look. She went with the phony ass weave. I mean, she didn't even get a good one. She didn't even get a good phony one. She just grabbed the first thing she could put her hands on in Sally's Beauty Supply and ran out the door. She didn't even get a good one. Okay. So between her and this work of art here, all I'm smelling is bedwench credentials. And you think you have a government. And you think you have a government in the chat room, the divest a wig. You damn right. It's a divest a do. Everything is a divest do now. Every hairdo is a divest do. This is all we dealing with now. And another thing, look at the teeth. Oh, the teeth. Boy, I'm telling you, you can tell when the Negro is faking a smile, and then you can tell when they like, this is my moment. Look at the teeth. Now, just in case you think everybody is smiling like that, Mr. Robert C. White Jr., I don't know if he likes men or women, but he ain't cheesing. Miss Henderson, big teeth. Miss Anita, she looked like a hostage. Oh, Kenyon, he's not sure whether white folk buy that hairline or not. He's not certain whether white folk are gonna buy that hairline. You can see that's the scariest ass grin. I'd like to know his damn background. That is the most scared. He looks like a hostage in this picture. So that smile ain't very sincere with him. Oh, but down here, look at her. This is my moment. Veneers in place. Veneers at the ready. This is my moment. But you know how it is with black males. We always know we last hired, first fired. So neither one of them is cheesing too damn much. Neither one of them is like, all right, see we can get by here. Neither one of them is cheesing very much. So you can tell who understands. They also know if they got to go answer the black folk, this isn't gonna go very well. This isn't going to go down very well if they got to answer the black folk, and they know that. This is not going to go very well if they do. So the only way you can keep your hooks in them is they done took them behind closed doors, because you know how they do with Negroes. Well, don't worry, we'll make you a deal and everybody else is going to catch hell, but you going to be okay. Don't worry, we in charge. You going to be all right. We'll find you a job at some defense contractor or some nursing home somewhere, and you'll be okay. You'll be all right if you just play ball. Mayor Bowser, just understand they've given her the "you'll be all right if you play ball" speech. And if you don't play ball, understand something, you could end up like Kwame Kilpatrick. I want you all to understand that's how deep it goes. If you play ball, you'll be all right. If you don't play ball, you can end up like Kwame Kilpatrick. We can have your ass busting rocks for a couple of decades. Everybody else gonna get a slap on the wrist. You gonna get the hardest time there is. Hey, ex-Mayor Gray, you better just vote however in the hell we tell you. However in the hell it is. Folks, who are your city council in DC almost unanimously voted to give the rights to illegal aliens to vote in local elections in DC. Who in the hell is an illegal alien on the city council? Who is the illegal aliens representative on the city council that this would become a priority? That's what I'm asking you. I've got a couple of ideas. I have a couple of ideas. You see, because every time I roll around DC, and don't be surprised if you see my face in the place in a week or two. Leave it at that. But every time I roll through DC, it's a Clark construction cranes all over the damn place, building high rises, building luxury condos, building luxury accommodations. And I'm wondering to myself, yet they don't try to hire black men for it. The only reason you would want this is so you can have more folk working under the damn table for your overpriced ass luxury condos and buildings. These would be the folk building it, getting paid less than minimum wage, and you want to make sure that they have access to the city. They have access but no rights. And now you are hearing the groundswell coming from the new black media. And the new black media is saying that our agenda and the illegal alien agenda have absolutely nothing to do with each other. As a matter of fact, they are in conflict with each other. So now they're saying, oh hell, close the damn doors. Quick, 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 close the doors. Y'all gotta understand, they don't need legislation like this in predominantly white cities. They don't need legislation like this there because the white folk won't let them be there long enough. Martha's Vineyard, they dropped off 50 illegals in Martha's Vineyard. They literally had them folk gone within 48 hours. All of them were taken to a military base and they were gone. No legislation required. In a place that claims they love illegals, and yet they got their asses up off the block in 48 hours. No legislation required. None. Meanwhile, down in D.C., and let this be a reminder, the illegals didn't have to have a forum, a quorum. They didn't have to have anything. City council gets together, boom, bam, you got it. Didn't have to have a study, didn't have to have a commission. They're not even citizens. Bam, you got it. They don't show me the illegal aliens voting lobby. Where's their lobby? Where's their billions of dollars? Where's their lobby at? Don't even have it. And yet, bam, there it is. Results. It didn't take years. Show me the illegal aliens marching in the streets. I'll wait. Where are the illegals having to march in the streets? Hold up their banners. Demand representation. Where is it at? Where's that at? Shout out to everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. YouTube has been messing with the program here tonight because this is the only place that is representing our interests, and yes, they want to undermine it. I told you all that what they are doing at this stage in the 21st century is to lock in white supremacy's control for the next 500 years. Now, let me explain to you all what the real goal is now. The goal is to have concentrations of illegals in various places around the country. I want you all to understand the grand design. I want to make sure you understand the grand design. The goal is not to have illegal aliens permeating everywhere. It is to have concentrations of illegals as labor in various locations around the country. Texas, the Carolinas, Philadelphia, California, Arizona. The goal is to have concentrations of them so they can move to various places. See, they want them here as their migrant labor, but they are afraid that black people, the previous workforce, are going to say, yeah, we're cool on that. So what you got to do now is lock it into place. They got concentrations of them in certain areas, but they will be prohibited from living or congregating in any real sizable amounts where white folk make up the majority. So the illegals will be sitting where black people are, specifically to destabilize the black politics, specifically to destabilize the black body politic, but not to infringe in any way on the white body politic. So they'll just be dumping them on top of us where we are. Detroit, Chicago, Atlanta. Also, they will serve as economic destabilization. Everybody doesn't need to have a rocket science degree. I advocate for black folk to do IT, but ideally everybody doesn't need that. 30 years ago, when I was a young black man coming out of high school, that we all of us were looking forward to getting construction jobs. I worked construction in Shreveport. All of us were looking forward to getting that. Get you on them GMC 1500 CK pickup trucks with the flare side. We, as young black men, that's what we were looking for. And for a while it was there, and then next thing you know, the construction trade overnight flipped, and all of a sudden, all of us young black men lined up to work. You had dozens lined up at temporary agencies and everything else. All of a sudden, we couldn't get nothing. That wasn't something that happened over the course of decades. That was something that happened literally over the course of a couple of years after the casinos came to Shreveport. Once the money starts coming in and new stuff starts getting built, all of a sudden, yeah, let's get these black men not getting paid nothing. So it's our city, ostensibly. We're the majority population. We're paying the taxes that pay for everything here. We're paying for the economy of it. And yet you're bringing in work here that we're not allowed to be on. You're bringing in labor and saying that we're not allowed to be on that. I want y'all to understand something. How many of you have been down to Mexico recently? How many of y'all been down to Mexico recently? Don't want to dry snitch on myself, but how many of y'all been down to Mexico recently? Baby, they got construction crane towers everywhere. You come out the damn airport, they got construction crane towers everywhere in Mexico. Mexico City, they got them all over the damn place. They're all over. You don't need anybody coming across that border coming up here. They got construction cranes and projects all over Mexico. All over Mexico. No, you need to go take care of your business down there. We need to take care of the business up here. But understand something. See, everybody else is allowed to have an entry-level entrance into the economy. They get an entry-level entrance into the economy. So whether it is illegals setting up their carts on street corners, then they go buy a storefront somewhere, not even supposed to be in the country, but they can buy real estate. Hell, they can get loans. Remember, Bank of America started that garbage over a decade ago. Bank of America was the one pioneering loans for illegals. Bank of America. Oh, the irony. The Bank of America advocating loans for non-citizens. The black people can't get one. They're telling you all kinds of lies about, well, your credit and your income and every damn thing else. They're illegal. They're not even documented. You're questioning my documents, and yet you just gave a loan to somebody with no documents. Let me say it again. You're questioning my documents, and yet you are giving loans to somebody who has no documents. Understand that. That's not an accident. That's policy. And in DC, they are showing you that what the white power structure has done in DC, the white power structure has hand-picked black bootlicks, flunkies, bedwenches, and lackeys for the purposes of dismantling the progress that we experienced under Marion Barry. So you have a city council now that votes against, specifically against black people's interests. They talk about LGBT, illegals, every damn thing else. They are specifically now concentrated and focused on voting against our interests. They're holding their city council meetings now to determine how do we undermine black people across the board. Marion Barry understood that you have the nation's capital. D.C., Washington, D.C. should be an enclave of the absolute richest, most powerful black people on the face of the earth. You are talking about the capital of the United States? the richest country on the planet, the most powerful nation on the planet, black people in DC should be the richest, most powerful black people on the face of the globe. Beyond Los Angeles, beyond New York City, they should be the richest black people on the face of the globe. How in the hell do you have this as the nation's capital? I've been there many a moon. Been there many a moon. I'm talking about straight from DC all the way out to Arlington and Alexandria. They got Negroes pushed all the damn way out there in Alexandria. Got them pushed all the damn way out there, stacked up in cheaper housing and trying to push them even further. Black folk, all that damn luxury condos they got and whatnot, black folk should be building it, owning it, and living there. And yet, I got it on video from when I did Gentrified. Clark Construction building a high-rise right across the street, and then you see some quote-unquote affordable housing right across the street where black folk are, and you just know their days are numbered. It's been so many years since I've been there, their days are numbered. Black people, the homelessness problem and everything else, that ain't supposed to be in DC. You have entirely too much damn money coming in DC. You have entirely too damn much money coming into DC. That is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. The amount of investment and everything else coming in DC shouldn't be that way. Shouldn't be that way. But it's the same thing like when you go out to Fairfax. Fairfax is one of the richest. At one time, it was per capita the richest area in America. But Fairfax, Virginia, right down the street from D.C., Fairfax, Virginia, you've got white folk filthy rich. You got white folk filthy rich living out there. Filthy rich. I ain't snitching on nobody. Newspapers already reported this. I ain't snitching on nobody. Jared Taylor lives out there in Fairfax. Jared Taylor lives out there. White folk living filthy rich. I know, I've been there. Come back up the block and black folks are walking down the street with holes in their pants. And we got room for illegals? No, it's to make sure that the Negroes go from having holes in their pants to no pants, no drawers, and no place to be. That's what it's about. And they have been on a mission and a campaign now for over 20 years to undo the work of Marion Barry. So today you have a statue of Marion Barry. I should know, there's a picture of me in front of it. So you have a statue of Marion Barry in DC. But the work of Chocolate City has been dismantled. So they'll have a big old statue. Oh, we're taking down the statues of the white Confederates and things. We're going to put up a statue of Marion Barry. Yeah, but everything he worked for, you are now trying to wash it out of the city. You're now trying to wash it out of the city. Now that you feel you got a moment to do that. Now you feel you can get away with that. In New York City, you're experiencing the same thing. They're trying to do the same thing there. I want black folk to understand, and they're sitting in your so-called black politicians as their front people in their camouflage to do so. And you are looking at a group of some of the most heinous, sexual deviants, degenerates that you could ever imagine. And yet there they are. And yet there they are. And this is the cost and the price we pay as black people of not having an agenda. The civil rights generation saying, well, as long as they black, they understand what we understand. No, everybody's got to sit up here and state that they understand the agenda. If they don't understand the agenda, you don't sit up here and put them on the ballot. You don't give them any support. You don't allow some pastor or some clergy to tell you that they can represent us. No, you can't. No, you can't. Black folk need to learn a new word in our vocabulary. The word is no. The word is no. You don't get to represent us. We need to start throwing up the hand and stiff arming people out the gate. No, not you. No. This idea that we just say yes to every damn body, to hell with that. It's time for us to give them the era of no. No. Well, you see, you understand, this is similar to y'all's agenda. No. Well, we just like you. No. Well, there's a lot of folks suffering. No. No, not at all. Not at all. Now, it's iffy whether or not this will actually go into effect because DC is still under basically the control of Congress in that regard. So Congress would have to sign off on this. It's iffy, not 100% certain, but I am telling you, black folk in DC, DC's been talking about taxation without representation. Black folk in DC, you have been betrayed by your so-called black representation. You've been betrayed. You've been stabbed in the back. You've been sold out. And black folk in DC better understand at this point right now, with the way they got this damn thing set up, that's your ass. What they're doing with this legislation is setting up a beacon and saying to anybody and everybody anywhere, all the illegals need to come here. We've got your back here in DC. You need to come here. Don't just stop down there in the Sunbelt states. You need to come all the way up here where all the black folk who fled the South and came up to those areas. Virginia's about as tippy top as you can get in DC. But all the black folk who came up in those areas, we need y'all to come up here so we can displace them. You need to come up here so we can displace them. And it is your black city council, supposedly, allegedly, that held the door open. I say allegedly black. Your black city council held the damn door open. All of them. All of your so-called black representation on the DC City Council, every single one, down to a man, all of them voted for it. All of them endorsed it. All of them said, yes, this is the way to go. All of them. What's the agenda now? Are you afraid to say what the agenda is now? Folks, in DC, you're about to have a situation where illegal aliens will have rights that black folk don't. Illegal aliens will have rights that black folk don't. Offending an illegal will be something you can be arrested for. Offending black folk will get an article in the Washington Post. That's where we're going with it now. Offending illegals will get you arrested, and offending black people will get you an article in the Washington Post. That's where we're going. By the way, the Washington Post said that they were against this. They said they were against this, but only because it's an election year. That's the only reason why they said they were against it. Otherwise, they are all for it. You want to know why it is that you can have gangs in Los Angeles? You want to know why it is that you can have white supremacist gangs and Latino white supremacist gangs in the sheriff's department and the Los Angeles Police Department? That's real easy to answer. Even though you don't have the Anglo population that you used to have, you have a very hostile white Latino population. Many of them are kids who are basically the children of illegals. Once they get to second, third generation, when I was a kid, the only place you talked about in Los Angeles for illegals was East LA. Anybody remember that the Cheech Marin movie, Born in East LA? So that was the enclave for the illegals. You can go back and watch that movie, Born in East LA. It was a comedy film by Cheech of Cheech and Chong, but they knew the deal back then. But it was East LA back then. It was pretty much in one area. You knew where they were. By the time they get to second, third generation, you've let them in the schools. They have a birth certificate. Next thing you know, second generation is working for the Los Angeles Police Department or the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Second, third generation has joined the military. Second or third generation has joined the military. Next thing you know, banditos. Here come the banditos. White supremacy believes in playing the long game. White supremacy believes in playing the long game. They believe in that. Black folk figuring this is a 5 or 10 year stratagem. It's like, oh, no. This is a 30, 50 year strategy. And now we're here. Now we're here. If you all take a look at the map of the United States, don't you know they got black folk boxed in on both sides now? I'm trying to educate you. If you take a look at a map of the United States, don't you understand they got black folk boxed in on both sides? New York, now DC, down to Florida, flooding the zone in the Carolinas, and on the other side of the country, California, which makes up damn near all the western seaboard. So you got black folk boxed in the middle. If you add Arizona and Texas, if you just add those, that's it. If you add those, that's it. If you do that, that's it. Got them boxed in everywhere. Got them boxed in everywhere. If you all take a look at the map of the United States today, it's scary at this point. You can see what they're doing is pushing you all out these places. All out these places. I talked about this over a decade ago. It's all coming true. When I wrote off California and these other places, it's all coming true now. And it's your so-called black politicians who've been flying the banner, waving the flag. It's your so-called black politicians. But we got to understand who got to hold this L. Black people in D.C. got to hold this L. You had Marion Barry. The problem is a little bit of prosperity made black folk complacent in D.C. Not a lot of prosperity, but a little bit of prosperity made black folk complacent in D.C. And now you see what that complacency has cost you. Not a lot of complacency, just a little. You've got to stay on the job. You got to stay on the job because you are up against a relentless, never-ending siege against you. Dr. John Henry Clarke talked about this. He used almost the exact same words. that black people have been the subject of a relentless, never-ending, never-ceasing assault on our place in history and thus our place in the world today. It has been a never-ending siege. They come back literally every morning. Hey, we're here to get rid of you. Every day. And what you're seeing now is that everybody is united and on code against us. And they're using all these things that seem like they have nothing to do with us. They're using things that seem like they're unassociated to us. But they're using those things for the purposes of undermining us. This is what we warned was going to happen. And this is what has occurred. And this is why, in this critical election season, our strategy of no tangibles, no vote is more critical and more crucial than ever. And the boule media is in full-blown panic mode. All that trash talking and smart talking that they were doing before, you ain't seeing none of that happening now. They got a new attitude, but the attitude hasn't gotten better. And I told you last week it was happening. Oh, they haven't backed down. They've doubled down. So what does that tell you? That tells you this comes from the top. Bowling Ball Martin is back at it again. He is madder, angrier, and nastier than he's ever been. He's taking direct shots at me. Angry as hell. And specifically promoting the illegal alien agenda. To anybody who thought that I was being hyperbolic or exaggerating or maybe taking it too far last week, oh no, he's back again. Carrying the same damn line as we go into the home stretch, into the midterm elections. He's back talking specifically about illegals. Specifically about them and how black folk need to get on board. He's specifically back talking about illegals and how black people need to understand that's where we need to be voting. I'm going to get at that right after we take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program here on PayPal, CashApp, or Super Chat. We appreciate that because everybody else out here is getting support to undermine black people. We better start supporting our own here. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, Roland Martin confirming everything I said, taking direct shots at me and you. The strategy is working. They are in panic mode, but we got to be foot to the gas. This is the Black Channel.
Are you tired of being overcharged and forced into paying a monthly subscription for your Mac and Windows software? Well, if you are, currently we're having a 50% off discount on all the latest Mac and Windows software, such as AutoCAD, SolidWorks, Photoshop, Microsoft Office, and much more. Our 50% off discount will be ending soon, so be sure to text us Need Software to 323-407-8214. That's 323-407-8214. We aim to please, so expect 24/7 technical support, the latest premium software, instant software links delivered to your email, and PayPal's buyer's protection guarantee.
When you need a reliable influx of capital to grow your business, Spectre Capital Finance provides fast, individualized working capital loans with lines of credit to take your business to the next level. SpectreCapitalFinance.com.
Hey, I'm Marcus, For a while, I walked around with this empty feeling inside. I had a full-time job, but not in the field I wanted to be in. But then I came across this book where it was like, the title was just for me. Guide to Being Black in IT. I read the book and the author took me through scenarios and gave me tips. I sat down and read it and it only took an hour. After I got done, I took advice in the book, practiced in the labs, and got certified. Then I literally got up and applied for a position with the company I've been looking at for a while and got the job. Thanks to that book, I worked my job with confidence. If you're looking to get into IT or even in the field, now this is a must-read book. Go to www.beingblackinit.com.
I am black first. I am empowered. I am on code. I am motivated. I am a proud foundational. My name is Noria Sellers, and nothing will come between us. Buy the sci-fi novel, Nothing Will Come Between Us. Order today at Amazon and Google Play. Visit spiritofo1811publishing.com. Our story, our family.
Join 6zeros.net, a forum built to discuss all things relevant to black people. On our forum, a check doesn't mean you're famous. It means your blackness has been verified by our staff.
Sorry, Chad.
We also have premium merchandise with same-day shipping on most orders. And when you're ready for some dope content, check out the 0 Hour blog.
Don't just sign up, post.
I'm having a really good time with you tonight.
I'm having a good time with you too.
Want to go somewhere private? Just for us?
I like that.
Great. Meet me at 6zeros.net. Black owned, black operated.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is The Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. As we are going to get into the other part of our discussion here tonight, illegal aliens are the answer. Clearly they are, because your black politicians and your old black media have rallied the wagons, circled the wagons, rallied the troops, and declared the illegals are the answer. Before I go any further, I want to talk about Bowling Ball Martin. Now, as you all know, I have had my foot, my boot, squarely on his neck and up his rear end since the very beginning. He has never been spared a single quarter or a single centimeter since I've been on him. And what I have tried to do is I have tried to make sure that people remember him, that his profile stays high, that he is not allowed to recede into the background and then come back at some later date and reinvent himself, which is clearly what he's been trying to do. But there's something I do have to concede here. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support our program here tonight on PayPal, CashApp, or Super Chat, because old Bowling Ball Martin, he's been getting support from other areas. You see, white supremacy puts money where their mouthpieces are. White supremacy believes in putting their money where their mouthpieces are. So when Roland sends up those little kites and throws up those little flags saying, hey, General Motors, y'all need to do XYZ, there's something in particular that I got to thinking about, and I was like, what in the hell's made him so bold as to believe he can do that? And I want to just articulate it plainly before we get to our audio here. Is because really Roland is the last one standing. The old black media, Tom Joyner and the rest of them, they're gone. They're gone now. It's just Roland. It's just Roland now. He's got the lane wide open for himself. There isn't anybody else challenging him anymore. Tavis Smiley, Tom Joyner, all the cats that he was sitting up here groveling to on the radio 25 years ago, they're gone now. It's just him. So whereas Tom Joyner, remember Tom Joyner had a contract with Walmart and General Motors. For those of you who don't remember, I got magazine ads showing Tom Joyner driving an Oldsmobile. Tom Joyner had contracts with General Motors, and then he really was proud of himself. If y'all remember back in the 90s, Tom Joyner got super proud of himself when he got that contract with Walmart. For those of you who remember, oh, he had a whole celebration about that. He was so proud to get a contract with Walmart. That's when you knew he was bought and paid for. Well, now that they're all gone, Roland is like, okay, it's just me. I'm the only one left from the old order. It's just me. So let me lean on General Motors. Let me lean on Walmart. Let me lean on Amazon. So I can go ahead and grab all the shekels I can that Tom and friends used to get. And what I'm telling y'all is black folk don't support Roland Martin like that. It's white society that's doing that. The white corporations are doing that. They're the ones doing this. They are putting their money where their mouths are. And they are getting what they paid for. Case in point, this is Roland Martin on his program a few days ago here. Right after my Sunday program last week. This is Roland Martin from YouTube. Fair use, you bagel-built bastard. Fair use. This is Roland Martin on Roland Martin Unhinged. Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Reason I wrote my book, White Fear. As you have the Browning.
Now, you remember he talked about white fear. I played that for when he was on the Breakfast Club. So he's drawing this together to let you know this is a consistent train of thought. He didn't just bring this on the Breakfast Club for no reason. This is a message that he's been sent out to deliver.
There's a reason I wrote my book, White Fear. As you have the browning of America, as you've had the browning of Europe, what we are dealing with right now on immigration, Europe has been dealing with the last 10 to 15 years. We have seen in Italy, in Germany, in France, in several different countries, how they have been pushing back against immigration because, frankly, their white birth rates have been going down. Well, the bottom line is you need people. So this notion of great replacement theory. So what is now happening? You're now seeing these countries now shift to these far-right candidates, these fascist candidates who are using the rhetoric of nationalism, the exact same thing Donald Trump uses, the exact same thing the Republican Party uses.
So you see how he's trying to tie Trump into this argument. He's getting ready to pivot. He's talking about illegals and how you need to defend illegals and then saying, see, if you don't defend illegals, that's like defending Trump. See, that's like being like Donald Trump. If you ain't supporting illegals, then you acting like Donald Trump. You see how he did that right there into the simple-minded, addle-brained individuals out there. That's an argument that actually will make sense to their pea brains. This isn't about Donald Trump. You haven't made an argument to defend illegals.
Now shift to these far-right candidates, these fascist candidates who are using the rhetoric of nationalism, the exact same thing Donald Trump uses, the exact same thing the Republican Party uses, because what they are scared to death, they are scared to death of white people losing power, losing control. And so how do those white voters, what do? They coalesce around their candidates and they're voting in their numbers. I keep telling black people, let me be real clear. These white folks are holding on to this thing as long as they can. You are seeing the...
Okay, so he's telling us that bringing in illegals is how we stop white folk from holding on to power. You can stop white supremacy by bringing in as many illegals as you can. Did you see what he just did there? Did you see what he just did? He told us, well, if you want to stop white supremacy, what you need to do is you need to bring in as many illegals as you can. See, y'all black folk who don't understand, see, the illegals are the way you break white folks' hold on everything. If you can just bring in the illegals, then that's how you get it. Let me roll it back so you can hear it again.
These countries now shift to these far-right candidates, these fast pushing back against immigration because, frankly, seen in Italy, in Germany, in France, in several different countries, how they have been pushing back against immigration because, frankly, their white birth rates have been going down. Well, the bottom line is you need people. So this notion of great replacement theory. So what is now happening?
So you notice he's using the same phrase that he used on the Breakfast Club. That tells you this came from the top. This came from the top. I said it last week and I'm saying it again, and now he's confirming it by him coming back and saying the exact same words. This came from the top. They sent Roland out to say you need to start promoting and defending and advocating for illegal aliens among black folk because too many black people are now turning against it. So he's outright saying, well, you see, the issue about illegals, immigrants, the reason about illegals is because white folks' numbers are going down, okay? But that doesn't make illegals a plus for black people. That you still have not articulated why black people should support illegals. You haven't said why yet.
Frankly, their white birth rates have been going in several different countries, how they have been pushing back against immigration because, frankly, their white birth rates have been going down. Well, the bottom line is you need people. So this notion of great replacement theory. So what is now happening? You're now seeing these countries now shift to these far-right candidates, these fascist candidates who are using the rhetoric of nationalism, the exact same thing Donald Trump uses, the exact same thing the Republican Party uses, because what they are scared to death, they are scared to death of white people losing power, losing control. And so how do those white voters, what do? They coalesce around their candidates and they're voting in their numbers. I keep telling black people, let me be real clear. These white folks are holding on to this thing as long as they can. You are seeing the enthusiasm on their side. And again, I get folks out there saying, well, we haven't gotten this and gotten that. Let me be real clear. That's not a damn thing that black people say they want. And Greg, I saw this thread you were on a little bit earlier and this fool was just talking. Let me be real clear, everybody watching. There's not a damn thing you want that the right is going to give you. Not one of them.
And there's nothing that we've asked for that the left has given us. As a matter of fact, the left has brought a bunch of things that we said we do not want. So you notice he isn't saying that.
Not one of them.
That's right.
Not one. All y'all folk who yell reparations, there is not a single Republican who supports reparations.
There's not a single Democrat who supports reparations. They support stalling tactics and red herrings like, well, we need a commission. The Asians didn't get a commission. They got money. The Afghans didn't get a commission. They got money. The Ukrainians didn't get a commission. They got money. Y'all remember the talking points to refute these things with. None of these Democrats are in favor of reparations. They're in favor of stalling tactics and red herrings like commissions. If they wanted to do it, they'd have done it.
Who supports reparations? Not one. So I can guarantee you they're going to make sure that never happens. Okay? Let's just be real clear. You ain't even going to get a study. You can forget HR 40. That ain't even go. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee told me when I was in Texas, they have 217 co-sponsors for H.R. 40. Not one of them a Republican. Hello.
Did you get that right there? Now, did you all hear that? Pay damn attention to that right there. So in other words, he's trying his best to refute our arguments against him. Did you hear what he just said? Well, with the Republicans, you won't even get a study. So this is to the addle-brained, dumbass, ADHD, lead pipe baby, crack baby crowd that is literally going to sit here and tell you that us getting a study is progress. He literally sat there after all these years of hearing us beat the drum about how HR 40 is a con because it's nothing but a study. He's now come out with the only argument he can, which is, well, under Republicans, you wouldn't even get a study. Okay, what good is a study to us? We don't need nor want a study. After all these years, he's telling you the only argument he was able to come up with was, well, I mean, a study is symbolic, but under the Republicans, you wouldn't even get this symbolic gesture. So that's what it would be. So folks, just understand, I've been telling you this forever. And now he's in full panic mode because if the Democrats get tossed out here in the midterms, they're going to be looking at Roland Martin and saying, why do we need to do anything with you or for you if you can't protect our power? What are we investing in you for if you can't actually bring us any benefits? So he's trying to go one-on-one against the champs in the new black media, and now he's trying to argue directly against our narrative about HR 40 and the arguments that we have made debunking HR 40, and this was the best he could come up with.
You can forget HR 40. That ain't even go. They gonna make sure that never happens. Okay? Let's just be real clear. You ain't even gonna get a study. You can forget HR 40. That ain't even go. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee told me when I was in Texas, they have 217 co-sponsors for HR 40. Not one of them a Republican. Hello. They win the House. You can hang that up. And so we can go.
We can hang what up? What the hell is he talking about? Did you all get that? If the Republican win the House, you can hang that up. Hang what up? Hang up getting a study for reparations? Hang up getting a study for reparations. This is like a female telling some simp-ass dude, you know what, you need to give me $100 to go on my rent. And then he says, well, why would I do that? And she says, well, if you don't give me $100 to go on my rent, then I won't even consider dating you. But you're not dating me now. Yeah, but if you don't give me $100, I won't even think about it. Are you thinking about it now? No. Will you think about it if I give you the $100? Maybe. Okay, well, let me give you some tangibles. Let me give you $100 now. And you will give me a maybe I might possibly think about doing something for you. I'm sorry, talking about doing something for you. Because HR 40 isn't even a date. HR 40 is talking about the possibility of a date, not agreeing to one. Let's talk about if dating is a good idea. Not even dating with you, just is dating a good idea. He's talking about we can hang it up. What the hell we hanging up? What the hell we hanging up? He's acting like if we don't do what he says, we're going to lose something. Folks, what are we going to lose with HR 40? What are we losing? He can't even tell us what we're gonna get. Well, you'll get a study. Dude, you act like that's a threat. Well, if you don't vote the way we want, then you won't get this possibility of a study because the Democrats are in charge now. We can't get the Democrats to get this in front of nobody now. The Democrats have been in charge several times, and you can't get this in front of them now. That's not the Republicans who won't do it. The Democrats won't even bring it up now. And he's telling you that if you don't do what he says, you gonna lose the nothing that you're already not getting. These folks are the worst hostage takers in the history of kidnapping. This is the gang that couldn't shoot straight. You all know I've always taught you all the first rule of hostage taking: point the gun at the hostage and not yourself. That's the first rule of hostage taking. Point the gun at the hostage. Do not point the gun at yourself. These folks point the guns at themselves, the ceiling, the floor, their foot. They're doing everything but pointing it at the hostage. He thinks he's pointing it at the hostage. He's pointing it at himself and trying to talk the hostage into believing that the gun pointed at him is actually pointed at us. Roland, let me say this in no uncertain terms, and I don't want to upset you because it looks like you're in your second trimester, and I would not want to trigger an unfortunate miscarriage type event, so I don't want to upset you, Roland. But brother, we got to keep this plain, dude. You ain't threatening us with nothing. You've got nothing to threaten us with. You have nothing to threaten us with. He's not even trying to convince us. He is sitting up here trying to threaten us. Literally. Brother, you ain't got no weapons. You don't have any leverage. You've got nothing to threaten us with. You are empty-handed, except for that cheeseburger in your hands. You're empty-handed. You ain't got nothing to threaten us with. HR 40 isn't real. Let's be very clear. HR 40 is not real. Let me go ahead and say this right now. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and throw it up. Because I want people to be clear about this. Don't be deceived. HR 40 is not real. There is nothing real about HR 40. Let me put this up here for the world to see this. Let me go ahead. I posted that on Twitter right now. HR 40 is not real. You can't threaten us by removing something that isn't even there. HR 40 isn't real. There isn't anything real in HR 40. Now, just to go ahead and round this out, old Roland got really flustered and mad. When he starts getting mad, see, y'all got to understand, Roland is your proof that the Democrats all have the same strategy when it comes to black people. When it comes to black folk, they're told if black people say something you don't like, when you talk to them, you got to be forceful. You got to treat them like a dog. Like if a dog does something you don't like, you roll up a newspaper and you rap him over the nose. With black folk, you can't be nice and soft and subtle. If black folks say something you don't like, you get in their face. You got to be real straight and real blunt and real harsh. Y'all some dumbasses. Y'all just stupid. Y'all don't understand. Y'all just dummies. That's how you got to do them. Well, Roland Martin is from that school of thought.
That never happens. Okay? Let's just be real clear. You ain't even going to get a study. You can forget HR 40. That ain't even go. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee told me when I was in Texas, they have 217 co-sponsors for HR 40. Not one of them a Republican. Hello, they win the House, you can hang that up. And so we can go on and on and on. And so for the people sitting at home who are saying, yeah, man, I'm going to sit this one out. Okay, but let me tell you right now, go ahead and write it down. Roland Martin said at 7-Eleven on October 13th, 2022, you ain't getting shit if the Republicans take control of the House and the Senate.
And what are we getting with the Democrats in control of the House, Senate, and White House? What have we ever gotten? What have we received? Notice he doesn't go down that list. You see, when it's time for him to sit up here and yell at black folk, he tells us what we specifically need to do, specifically as black people. But when they talk about what we're getting for it, he doesn't say what we are specifically getting. The only thing specific he can name, he said, well, you can't get it, and it's not real. And if Republicans get in office, well, okay, at least if the Republicans are in office, there won't be anybody trying to sell us on this con job that there's something real to be obtained. HR 40 is a mirage. HR 40 is not real. There is nothing real about HR 40. It's fake. It's phony. It's smoke and mirrors. It's camouflage. It's a mirage. It's an apparition. It doesn't exist. It's just a carrot on a stick that Democrats keep trotting out so that they have plausible deniability. Well, see, what it is y'all asked for reparations. Well, we have been trying to get reparations. No, you haven't. You're trying to get a study for reparations. Well, I mean, that's the first step. Why is it you didn't need a study for Asians? You got a hate crime pass for Asians and no study required. We want the same thing you gave them. They didn't need a study. We don't need a study. Well, you see, it ain't that easy. Well, you know what? It ain't going to be easy for me to get to the polls neither. If you can't get this done, then it's going to be too hard. If it's too hard for you to do this, it's going to be too hard for us to do that. That's why you have these folk panicking. Remember, Roland is there in D.C. You can hear the small earthquakes when he walks down the street. But he's there in D.C., so they're like, hey, look, screw it. We better pile in as many of these illegals as we can because black folk as a group, we can see the projections into the future. Remember what I told you all after Trayvon Martin. This isn't temporary. This is the new normal. And when they start projecting out into the future, they see that their black support is going to winnow away and decline with each and every passing year. As black people have gotten more on code and more sophisticated and more demanding to have tangibles, they recognize their support among black people is going to plummet. It's already beginning to fall off, and there is nothing to suggest that they're going to be able to stop it. So that's why they're saying, okay, screw it. We got to do this now. We got to hit the red button and do it now. We got to flood the zone with as many illegals as we can because all that solid black support we had since LBJ, the grandchildren are like, yeah, we need to see some tangibles. You can't live off of Lyndon Baines Johnson anymore. We need to see the tangibles you're offering now because all we hear is LGBT illegal aliens. That's all we hear. So where are our tangibles? Oh, you're not going to give anything? Now, in days past, it used to be, well, you're not going to give us anything, but the other side that's going to give us nothing is worse than you. That's a damn lie. So you're no longer dealing with the unsophisticated, simple-minded individuals you used to deal with in the same numbers. There's a growing number of sophisticated, intelligent individuals who see through that lie, and they're saying, you know what? You try to tell us the lie that we have a choice between Democrats and Republicans. No, there's a third choice. We can stay home and vote for ourselves. We can vote for ourselves. That's the third option. And let's be clear, we're not panicking. Roland is panicking. This is the sound of desperation and panic.
Let's just be real clear. You ain't even gonna get a study. You can forget HR 40. That ain't even go. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee told me when I was in Texas, they have 217 co-sponsors for HR 40. Not one of them a Republican. Hello, they win the House, you can hang that up. And so we can go on and on and on. And so for the people sitting at home who are saying, yeah, man, I'm gonna sit this one out. Okay, but let me tell you right now, go ahead and write it down. Roland Martin said at 7-11 on October 13th, 2022, you ain't getting shit if the Republicans take control of the House and the Senate.
Roland, you know, the last time we did this dance, you told us that the black folks saying that they would stay home, they were a non-issue because Joe Biden was going to get elected by all the old church ladies. Remember that? Remember Roland said that Joe Biden was going to get elected by all the old church ladies. The old church ladies had his back. It was the older black vote, the civil rights vote, and the baby boomer vote. So all the millennials and Gen Xers who were saying that they were going to stay home and not vote, that y'all don't matter. Joe Biden going to get all them older folks voting. Well, you know what, Roland? You need to grab the oxygen tanks and the wheelchairs and the hover rounds and go grab up all the old church lady vote and go get them down to the election place and stop harassing us. Why you worried about us all of a sudden? Oh, because we called your bluff. You're worried now because we called your bluff. If we hadn't called your bluff, you wouldn't be worried. You're scared right now because we called you on it. You're not scaring us anymore. When they come talk to black folk, it's threatening tactics. It's fear tactics. When they go talk to Asians, they tell them, here's what we're going to do for you. When they come to talk to black folk, it's, well, you better vote for us or worse things will happen to you. They don't talk to LGBT like that. Y'all tell us when they ever talk to LGBT that way. Tell us when they talk to Asians that way. Hell, they don't talk to illegal aliens like that, and it's illegal for them to be on the soil. They don't talk to anybody like this except black folk, and only when we start talking about standing up for ourselves. There's always an argument, and folks like Roland Martin, the chief cheerleaders, to argue against black people standing up for ourselves. Every time we say we want to have a discussion about what's in our interest and nobody else's, we're told, no, you need to shut up. You don't need to do that. You don't have any interests of your own. That's what they keep telling us, that we don't have any interests of our own. We don't have anything that belongs to us. You don't have any interests of your own. You just need to do whatever in the hell we tell you. Like the bedwenches on the damn DC City Council. You need to just do like them. Well, I put up a tweet making it very, very clear that Roland Martin was back again stomping for illegals. What Roland does is he blocks people, well, he blocks me, and then when he gets tagged or something, he unblocks me. That's what Roland does. He blocks me, and then as folks start getting on his ass, he unblocks me. Well, this is what he did. So you can take a look at what I said. So Roland Martin has again come out and said black people need to support illegal aliens in order to stop Republicans. My question is, what benefit do we as black non-immigrants get from supporting immigrants? Now, this was Roland's opportunity to make his case. This was Roland's opportunity to articulate it in plain and simple language. This was his chance to show he knew what the hell he was talking about. This was his opportunity to do so. If there was anything there, he could have proven it in just one sentence. That was all he needed to do. Instead, he said, you really are a dumbass. Y'all know Roland's stuttering ass. You really are a dumbass. Really, Roland? You really are a dumbass. That's the best you could do? I'm sitting up here roasting you and frying your talking points, and the Democrats, for all the money you give him, Amazon, General Motors, and I doubt GM's giving him a penny, but all the so-called sponsors giving him something, all you little old ladies tricking off your church tithe money to Roland. This is the best your money could pay for? This is the best it could do? I call this a bad investment. That's what I call this. I call this a bad investment. So Roland Martin, I let him know that I saw what he was saying, and I just asked one question to people. What benefit do we get? Do you see how terrified he is of us asking that question? I want you all to understand what the upshot of all this is. Look at that response. He is terrified of us asking this question. He's terrified of us asking, well, what's in it for us for supporting illegals? Y'all dumbasses, don't ask that question. Just do what I tell you to do. Hand me the Baconator. So they don't talk to us like adults. They talk to us like abusive parents talking to children. But notice, he's terrified to death of that question. Why didn't he just address the question and say, well, here's where black people benefit? He didn't do that. Because he can't do that. Which means that we have found his Achilles heel, and that's how you shut him down. What's the benefit that we get from supporting immigrants? What do non-immigrant black people get from supporting illegal aliens? What do we get for that? What's the benefit to us? That's it. He's done. He checked out. This is all the Democrats can get for the money that they paid. This is it. This is it. This is all they could get for it. They paid hundreds of thousands of dollars so that he can eat free food and drive his struggle Sprinter van down to New Orleans. And this is the best that their money can pay for. This is the biggest rate of return that their money gets. This is a waste. See, Roland is running a damn hustle on them. He's told the Democrat Party that he's the Negro whisperer and he knows how to talk to us in a way that'll whip us into shape. That's the same damn con job that Simone Sanders pulled. Oh, I'm calling names. Simone Sanders ran the same damn hustle. First, she ran it on Bernie Sanders, and the real point was just to prove she was reliable. Y'all saw the pictures of her in high school posing next to Bill Clinton. They've had their finger on her since she was in high school. They've never had to question her sincerity. They've been watching her literally for decades. Decades. They've been literally watching her for decades, so they knew she was safe. Just like they've been watching Roland for decades. They know he's safe. So Simone Sanders told them, when black folks say something you don't like, you gotta push back hard and put them in their place. You can't be subtle about that. You gotta tell them, no, you ain't gonna get it. Now get over here and vote for us. And you notice that both Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden did the same thing. When it came to reparations, nope, I don't support reparations. Nope. Joe Biden, you black folks need to get with the Latinos. You need to get with them. He hasn't gone to the Latinos and told them, you need to get with black folk. Oh yeah, but that's because he didn't have an agenda to let black folk in. They blocked all the Haitians at the border and they're gathering all of them up and sending them home. Now the Mexicans and the South Americans, they can stay. But all the Haitians, oh, they grabbing their asses up and yanking them back home. The ones that they did allow through, they're going back and gathering them up and saying, yeah, we've thought it over again. You going back. You going back now. No. Your Mexican neighbor over there, he can stay. You got to go. You got to go now. Well, that was the con job that the Simone Sanders and the Van Joneses and their ilk out there, these so-called black political advisors. That's what they tell them. Don't worry, hire me. These so-called black political consultants, don't worry, hire me. I'll tell you how to get it done. And then he goes out there writing checks that his big bulbous wart-covered ass cannot cash. So he's made promises that his tactics of talking to us, that's really gonna work. And it doesn't. We got over 5,000 people in here tonight. I want to thank all of you here for joining us. And thank you to everybody who has contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. So Lynn Wood, Brenda Starr, everybody else here, thank you very much for your support. I'm going to go ahead and open up the telephone lines. And you all can give us a call here. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Telephone lines now open. We'll go ahead and take a couple of calls here on tonight's program. That your black politicians in D.C. voting to allow illegal aliens to vote. Roland Martin going full bore, full steam ahead, promoting that black people need to support illegal aliens. Not that black people need to support ourselves. He didn't say that black people need to support ourselves. As a matter of fact, our issues are irrelevant. Roland Martin is saying that black people need to support illegal aliens. We don't need to support our agenda, that our agenda is the illegal alien agenda, and that's all we need to support. So let's understand exactly what you're dealing with there. These folks are getting desperate, but they're also getting very, very hostile. They're letting you know things have changed. Well, I told you the whole damn time. CNN is not going to put up a headline that says new black media controls the agenda. They're sending out Roland Martin to do it. Hey, Roland, get your big waddly ass up and get over there and shut them down. Problem, he ain't been able to shut us down. Every time he comes into contact with us, it's knockout. First round. Knockout first round. This was the best he could do in response to me. This was all he could do. Anybody contributing any money to him thinking that he's going to be able to lay a glove on us in the arena of ideological hand-to-hand combat, please, all you doing is throwing money to the buffet. Let's go ahead and get to the telephone lines here. Let me get caller from area code 646. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Onan from Queens.
Onan from Queens, what's on your mind?
Yeah, so there's a video that the Professor Black Truth did concerning Ronald Reagan and the UN. And it focused on the power of abstaining from voting. And it was particularly about the regime of the Chiang Kai-shek, I believe. And how basically Ronald Reagan wanted to abstain from voting in the UN because he felt that it would be able to leverage more power. But I bring this up to demonstrate how foundational Black Americans abstaining from voting and giving our support without the politician declaring what it is that we're going to be getting in return for our vote. Because if you look at it, voting is transactional, right? You're not going to, let's say, go to McDonald's and pay for something that you eventually won't get or you'll hope to get. And
you're not supposed to be voting unless you're receiving something in return. Dr. Claude Anderson talked about that for decades. This is the fallacy of it. Black folk up until this point, the Civil Rights generation, the World War II generation, they were willing to vote for symbolic gestures. What was the symbolic gesture? For those generations, they were literally physically separated from white people. So the psychological impression that they took away from that is if we could just remove this, white folk are living better than us. So if we could remove these physical barriers between us and them, then we will be living better as a result of removing the physical barrier. So they became focused on the physical barrier. And that was why every time a black person could take a photo with a white person during that time, whether it was Sammy Davis Jr. or James Brown, they considered that in and of itself to be an accomplishment. They considered that in and of itself to be an achievement. Our generation understands that's not an achievement, that's symbolism. We are no longer discussing symbolism, we're discussing tangibles, and they're freaking out. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get a caller from area code 602. 302, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
All right, I'm James. I'm calling from Wilmington, Delaware.
Okay, you got the phone up under your double chin. Try taking it out. What is your name? Where you calling from?
I'm bad. I don't have a double chin, but I'm bad. I'm sorry. But all right. Yeah. Like how life is happening.
What is your name? Where are you calling from?
I said James from Wilmington, Delaware, sir.
James from Wilmington. What's on your mind?
Now, I just was thinking to myself how life is happening where the baby boomers are all dying off, and we're getting leverage with the Democratic Party, making them listen to us about reparations. But then I started thinking about the amount of mixed kids that are being born into this generation and probably into the next generation. I'm looking at my own family, and all of them are probably going to go that way. And I'm just thinking that it might die out because, see, my daughter has a lot of mixed friends, and she says that they always side with white people. So I'm thinking that that'll happen, and I'm a Gen Xer, so the next generation and the generation after that, so many mulatto kids will be produced that there won't be no true foundational Black
He's
America.
working on the English language. The real issue here is, brother, right now, they're bringing in so many dark-skinned Black immigrants right now. That's the real issue. When you go to your largest cities and whatnot, you're getting flooded with Black immigrants. So while you're worried about the biracial kids and whatnot, the stuff they're getting done is getting done by folk who are as dark as you and me. Thank you very much for giving us a call, I think. Caller from area code 601, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Jeremiah from Jackson, Mississippi.
Jeremiah from Jackson, Mississippi. What's on your mind?
Man, ain't that much, brother. Wonderful broadcast. Now, I love it when you call Martin's turd ass. He's the quintessential chitlin Negro. And his time is running out because most of us are waking up. And just yesterday, I was at the Jackson State Homecoming, and I ran into the NAACP president, Derek Johnson. That's his name, correct? I believe that's his name. But anyway, I spoke about reparations, and he said that he agrees. So we'll see what happens there. I don't believe much will come with it, but he was at the game, and I ran into him about that. And another thing is funny, and you said it's a 4-week. This old news for people that are in the conscious community, but Asians don't vote, yet they get hate crime bills. It's like, what are we voting for?
Yeah, it doesn't require dancing in the streets, marching, protesting. It didn't take years and years. They got right to it, which lets you know the motivation isn't because of Asian voting power. It isn't because of if white people agree with it or not. They have a specific policy to do nothing specifically for Black people. We are the ones who are targeted to be isolated and frozen out. Everybody else can be let in, but where Black people are concerned specifically, they must be undermined at each and every turn. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Thank you to everybody who's contributed to tonight's program here. So Leslie, Rhonda, big shout out to you, and a big shout out here to Mr. Marshall. Thank you very much for supporting tonight's program. Let me get caller from area code 760. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello. Yes, my name is Patrice Johnson from California.
Okay, Patrice, from where at in California?
Oh, San Bernardino, I'm on. Hey, excuse me, sir. I like what you're doing. Won't you tell the world that I do have a case in California for cultural genocide of our race that they are keeping me down from getting in San Bernardino. We have no justice system for Black people in California.
Well, I definitely understand that. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 904. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Jacksonville, Florida, Barbara.
Barbara from Jacksonville. What's on your mind?
Okay, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that this is really a chess move. I think by the election of letting the immigrants vote, once they let them vote, then they won't be able to not allow the felons to vote. And I also believe that Cotton is not going to allow that to happen because all those bills they got against voting, the Black men voting, because 1 out of 3 Black men do not vote in America. So once they allow those illegals to vote, there's no reason why we couldn't go to the Supreme Court and make sure that all our Black men who've been locked up, who have felonies, are allowed to vote because they're letting people who are not even citizens vote.
I mean, the problem is that's an argument that you can make now. So enfranchising felons at the Supreme Court level, that's not happening. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I mean, because what you're saying are two separate things. It doesn't require one or the other. Let me get caller Mirror Code 571. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Shakir. I'm calling from Arlington, Virginia.
Shakir from Arlington, Virginia. What's on your mind?
Yeah, well, when it comes to these reparations, I guess we're supposed to hope for the best and prepare for the worst. And I think that regardless of what happens with that, we need to set up some sort of structure where we can manage our finances and some sort of organizational structure. John Henry Clark talked about something centralized, so it would be nice if we could give reparations, but whether we get it or not, I'm just thinking of,
Well, you certainly need to be on
in
code. That's the structure you need to have, is being on code. If you had that right there, it wouldn't require a political party, a bank, a school. That right there alone would coalesce everything. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 910. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Malcolm from Fairfield, North Carolina.
Okay, it sounds like you're wrestling your phone over there. Try again.
No, come on. Take off. Get off.
Okay. Apparently his cat is jumping on his phone. We're going to let him take care of Whiskers there. Caller from area code 703. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
CB calling out of Charlottesville, Virginia.
All right, TB out of Charlottesville. What's on your mind?
So I'm a former Washington, D.C. resident, worked in the government, literally have gone through everything that you mentioned. I'm 10 toes down. This is a part of my everyday conversation with people probably not even worthy of this conversation. But I worked in the government. I took pictures with Tom Vilsack, with USDA. I've heard them talk about the Spanish-speaking community. And then when they referenced us, I heard somebody specifically say that the African-American community's population numbers are going down. And this was roughly about like 9 years ago, way before 2013, I believe. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
for taking
here's
my
the
call,
thing
sir.
right here, though. Illegal aliens, their population numbers are not going up. If you're sitting up here bringing them in buses, that's not their numbers going up. That is somebody enacting an agenda. Black folk are still the majority in all these places we're talking about. They never talk about Jewish people's numbers. They never talk about Asian people's numbers. It's only when it's time to sit up here and target black people to be disenfranchised and to remove benefits and protections, all of a sudden you start talking crazy. That's never an argument. When it comes to gay folk, it's never an argument. Ooh, gay folks' numbers are going down. That's never an argument. It's only one that comes up with us. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Now let me get caller from area code 415. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Don P. calling from San Francisco.
Don from San Francisco. What's on your mind?
Hey, Jason. Another great topic, and way to go after SpongeBob. I think people missed it. It was kind of over their head when you said they play the long game. Folks, they've been playing this game for 200 years. Since we got out of those physical chains. And after they saw what we could do during a short period of time with nothing, they said, oh, hell, we got to get them out the paint. So what did they do? They started bringing over the Germans and the Polacks. And they kept bringing those people in until they couldn't get enough of them. And then they replaced us in the field by bringing them folks in. That was the first entry, bringing them in to work in the fields to replace us. And they also brought them Germans and Polacks in and taught them how to, I think it was South Africans, taught them how to farm and replace the black farmers. This has always been a replacement game. So we're on the second heavy wave of the replacement because of the fact that they saw that the white population was dropping and they couldn't replenish it enough. So they still, if they didn't replace that air, we were going to fill it. So what did they do? They start bringing these people in. But see, now they're in a panic. They're in a panic because, like I said, all them old folks is dying off. And we're going, whoa, time out. We see the hustle, and we already are like, no, you're going to work with us, get nothing from us. And so they're scrambling right now, and they must put a couple extra butter biscuits on the thing for him. But yeah, it's just gotten faster and faster over the last couple of years. And we should, I don't know how people can't see this. If you have any age on you, I can't see how you can't see you have been replaced.
Well, definitely folk can see that. The real thing is whether or not they're going to act on it and whatnot. The message has gotten a lot louder. It's clearer. The fact that Bowling Ball Martin is this damn dangerous, is this damn desperate now to keep quiet about it, that tells you all you need to know. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, Don. Let me get caller Miracle 317. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, my name's Chris, and I'm calling from Indianapolis.
Chris from Indianapolis, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I have a question. How is this not illegal?
It is. It is.
So
there have been courts. There have been courts that have ruled on this already. So yes, absolutely, this is illegal. Hell, you don't even need the federal government. The states can do this. So yes, it is absolutely illegal. Here's the thing that we've been trying to say forever here in the new black media. It's not a law if you can't enforce it, and it is a law if you can enforce it. Remember, lynching, there was no law that said you could go around lynching black folk. There was no law that said you could do that. But it was one that was enforced. It was a practice that was enforced. So guess what? That's the law. Sundown towns and whatnot, that wasn't really something that was written down. That was just something that was a practice that was enforced. And it was so insidious because how do you define the sundown towns, territories, or geographic locations if they're not writing laws that say that kind of thing? So, but if it goes into practice, so absolutely, what they're doing at the borders, allowing them up here and whatnot. Hell, there's a federal law that says you're not supposed to be employing illegals. They got to have a number. There's laws that say that they can come and grab all your stuff. They could actually enact asset forfeiture. Remember, as black folk, ever since Al Capone, but as black folk in particular, if you are guilty of a crime, not drug dealing, not just drug dealing, there's a YouTuber, what's his name? Omi and a Hellcat. The feds came, grabbed all his damn cars because they said that he was illegally streaming content from cable TV providers. He wasn't dealing drugs, but asset forfeiture came for him. So what I'm saying is that as black folk, yeah, all these laws, anything that can take your wealth, take your money, disenfranchise, you find out how many powers they have when you're black. Then you look around and say, okay, it's time to go ahead and drop the hammer on everybody else, isn't it? All of a sudden, oh, we lost our hammer. We don't know what to do. Police departments that gun black people down and put their knees on your neck till they strangle you. Illegals. Brother, I've been all around this damn country. In Arizona, in New Mexico, in Georgia, in the Carolinas. Y'all know it. I've seen illegals driving trucks and 18-wheelers, not across the border in Texas. Not across the border in Texas. I've seen them in Georgia, the Carolinas, Texas, Arizona. I've seen them out there. California.
Wow.
I've seen them driving 18-wheelers on the plant, on where they're growing the crops at, in the orchards and the orange fields and the cotton fields, where they're where they're growing the vegetables and the strawberries. I'm talking about they're not just driving on the land where the crops are being grown. They are driving down the street on the highways and in some cases on the interstate. Illegal as a son of a gun in southern states, in Confederate states, where Lil Boosie is getting yanked out of his car. Let me say that again. Lil Boosie is getting yanked out of his car. But Pablo and the crew are driving full-blown 18-wheelers with chickens, crops, and every damn thing else and aren't even supposed to be on the soil, much less in the state. Yes, brother, it is illegal. Oh, it very much is. But you and I don't have the powers to enforce that. The folks who do are like, yeah, it's the law if we say it is. And today we say it's not the law. Now, if you show up, it's going to be the law. If you try it. Guess what? It's the law again. Yes, no driver's license at all. How many black folk listen to me right now? You have had your car towed or you've been arrested because you were driving without a driver's license. How many black folk listen to me right now? The police were like, where the hell you think you going? You don't have a valid driver's license. I'm from the state of Louisiana. If you drive with a suspended license, that's a crime. And there are several other states that's true too. If you're driving with a suspended license in my home state of Louisiana, that's not a driving offense. That's a crime. That's a criminal offense to drive with a suspended license. So what the hell is it for somebody who doesn't have a license at all and not supposed to be standing on the soil? What offense is that? Because he knows damn well he's not supposed to be doing it. What offense is that? Better question. What is the offense for the white man that owns the equipment he's using? I talked about this before.
That's who they need to go after.
One time I was in the Carolinas. I was watching here and I literally couldn't believe my eyes when I'm driving by. I'm seeing it's a white man and he had a truck and I guess it was fertilizer, though I'm not 110% certain. I guess it was fertilizer, but I'm seeing him and he's talking to this little Mexican dude and I'm seeing him with his hands gesticulating. So clearly the little Mexican fella, he's not fluent in English. This white man is taking all this damn time to sit here and explain to him how I'm watching him in real time explaining to this fella how to operate the dump on the truck, to dump the stuff. How to operate the gears. I'm sitting here out the window while I'm driving by. I'm creeping a little bit. I'm watching him gesticulating, showing the hand motions of what to do. So he's sitting here on the job training. He knows what the hell he got. He knows what the hell he's doing. If we as black folk tried to do that, look at Big Meech. We'd be doing football numbers. They'd have grabbed all our stuff. Asset forfeiture would have come down like a damn anvil. And yet, understand you're being targeted. So brother, you say, how is this not illegal? It is. And your black politicians are sitting there talking about, well, y'all need to support this. And Roland Martin, well, y'all need to support this. So yeah, this is where we derail the train. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 773. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Lakaya calling from Chicago.
Hello, Lakaya from Chicago. What's on your mind?
I had a quick question. I'm kind of nervous to be up here, but I heard a very interesting stream on Twitter, and I ain't gonna say who it's from because I ain't like that. But they was talking about voting MAGA to keep the illegals out. What do you think about that? Should we vote MAGA to keep the illegals out?
I think you should vote black. Did you get that?
I agree. I agree. That's exactly what I said.
I think you should vote black. Here's something I want you to understand, Lakaya. How old are you?
I'm 32.
Okay, I want to introduce you to a phrase that needs to be your bedrock foundation in your political ideology, okay? I want you to integrate this into your political ideology. We have no permanent friends. We have no permanent enemies, only permanent interests. Did you get that?
Yeah, I understand.
We have no permanent friends. We have no permanent enemies, only permanent interests. If it just so happens that during a certain election cycle, our interests align with one political party, one political group, one segment of society, we are always to vote our interests. And from time to time, our interests may coincide with other people. Perfectly fine. I'm not voting those other folks. I'm voting our interests. And if it just so happens that our interests and theirs align, well, that's coincidental.
I think that's kind of just out. I think that's just kind of crazy to vote MAGA just to keep the illegals out. And then what if we vote MAGA to keep the illegals out and they still end up coming over?
Okay, well, you certainly had a lot fewer of them under Trump. There's no question about that. Right. I would not support the idea that we need to vote MAGA. You need to vote black. And if MAGA interests support what we're doing, if their interests support what we're doing, okay, fine. That's a happy coincidence. What you should not be doing is going around trying to figure out to support other people's interests, because there's where we get things messed up. That's where you get things messed up. But here's another thing, ma'am. You have to learn how to be objective and impartial. See, that's how white folk are. That's how Latinos are. That's how Asians are. Some Asians vote Democrat, but out there in California, the Asians are voting Republican like a son of a gun, specifically against affirmative action. The Asian bloc in California is strong against affirmative action. The biggest advocates and proponents against affirmative action in California are Asian. Not white, Asian. Okay, so on one day, they may vote Democrat. On the next day, they may vote Republican. So what you're doing right now, I want you to understand something. That's an argument that never even comes up among non-black people. See, folks sitting up here acting like Joe Biden is their daddy or Donald Trump is their mama and making an emotional investment in them. See, there's a reason it's called a baseball cap, ma'am. During this election, if what they talking about is with your interest, you put the baseball cap on. Next election, if it's not, you take that son of a gun off. It's a cap. It's not surgically stitched into your head. It's not surgically attached to your brain. It's something that you use to get your interests accomplished, and then that's it. You go on next issue, we go on to something else. If they're still aligned with your interests, maybe we'll talk. If they're not aligned with your interests, out the door they go. Now that's called being a sensible, critical thinker. Not a political flunky, not a political puppet. Because here's the thing. If I did vote for something that the MAGA people agreed with, I tell them, hey, don't throw your arm around me. Don't do none of that. We ain't getting married. We ain't going to the damn chapel. Let me go ahead and pull this lever because there's something in it for me. On the next issue, I might pull the lever. Then again, I might not. You see what I'm talking about? I'm not making any future promises. I'm only promising you one thing. I will pull the lever for what is in my interest, but if your interest and mine happen to coincide, I only have one word of caution for you. Don't get carried away. Just because your interests and mine align in this one issue, don't start doing victory laps and talking about, hey, I got Jason's vote for the next 20 years. Don't get carried away, partner. Don't get carried away. Not at all. Now, that's the way you should operate in your daily life. When it comes to politics, people, and everything else, that's the way you should operate in your daily life. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
All right. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. And like I say, some of these young folk here, they got to understand their parents and stuff try to treat it. Their parents got hoodwinked and suckered in by Roland Martin and friends, and they think that Joe Biden is a member of the family. Well, you know, he a member of the family, and sometimes he messed up, but Trump, he ain't part of my family. Biden, he do me wrong, but he part of my family. Okay. Yeah, those are for the light bred IQ people. We're not them. We're not them. Gonna see if we can take one or two more phone calls here. Let me get caller Miracle 678. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is E from Jonesboro, Georgia.
E from Jonesboro, Georgia. What's on your mind?
Okay?
What is on your mind, E?
I'm sorry. Yes. So just listening to you tonight kind of started making me wonder, okay, I was reminded of what the new black media has said about, you know, white people, the white elite. They've had this plan. They like to play the long game, right? And it's like, okay, well, if we continue on what we're doing, what is the stamp on the world that we want to make? Where are we going? Because if it continues on like this, to me, it's reminding me of an Octavia Butler novel. And it's kind of freaking me out. Like, I don't want to live in some crazy dystopian world at all. And it's, I don't know, just listening to you tonight makes me wonder, is that where we're going?
Well, in some areas, yes, that is exactly what is happening. In some areas, yes, and folk need to understand that if I've said it years and years ago, if you don't make the right decisions, then yes, that's the kind of thing that can happen. The worst actually can happen. Remember, just 150 years ago, we were in chattel slavery. The worst, if you don't make smart decisions, the worst actually can happen to you. The worst actually can. Do not sit up here and fool yourself into believing that the worst cannot happen. Yes, it can. Yeah, you can find yourself behind the 8 ball and totally barreled over. Yeah, it can happen to you. You better take this seriously. Don't let anybody tell you that these things are minor. Yeah, it really, the worst really can happen to you. You really can end up in a situation where, let's be very, very clear about these things. Folks always talk about dictatorships. When you talk about dystopian futures and post-apocalyptic outcomes and whatnot, folks always talk about these things in the Orwellian sense and whatnot. But do you understand something? You could just as easily democratically elect a dystopian future as you can somebody marching in with guns and enforcing one. You could actually democratically elect the dystopian future that you thought you were preventing from happening. The system of democracy allows for that. A lot of folk have been sold on the idea that as long as you have a democratic system, then nothing like that would ever occur. That a democratic system, by definition, is resistant to tyrannical or dystopian ideas. Wrong. As young people, if y'all never been taught that, yeah, you can democratically elect that. Give you a case in point here. After 9/11, I don't know how old you are, but after 9/11, when America went booming into Afghanistan and Iraq. After Saddam Hussein was overthrown in Iraq, and George W. Bush is talking about, is great, well, we're going to install a democratically elected government. One that they already had one, but we want one that looks like we want it to. And there were reporters who, for the first time in American journalistic history, actually asked a sensible question in regard to democracy. Because America had been overthrowing governments in Africa and other places for decades. Patrice Lumumba comes to mind immediately. We won't go down the list. And they asked George W. Bush, well, if you give the people the right to elections, if they go to the polls and democratically elect the exact same government that they had that you just overthrew, what will you do then? If the people go to the polls and choose the Ba'ath Party, what are you gonna do then? Well, he kind of just weaseled his way out of that next. But what have you seen in both Iran, Iraq, and Afghanistan? They've democratically elected it. Well, in Iraq and Afghanistan, Iran's a different matter, but they've democratically elected it. They elected the exact same type of government, same type of ideological representatives that they had before. They selected it. The people elected it on their own. with the United States sitting there and we're election monitoring and this, that, and the other. So you can't say it was rigged. The people chose this. They didn't want you. They chose what they had. So yes, ma'am, you really can. Democracy can be just as good at electing or selecting backward or disadvantageous governance as much as tyranny or oligarchy can. Young people have not been taught this. You've been taught that democracy, well, it's the worst system if you don't count the others, or it's better than anything else. It is no less susceptible than any other. It'll probably get you there 5 years later, but it's no less susceptible than the others. So that can be a tough lesson to swallow. It's like, wait a minute, we can sit up here and have a vote, and there could still be enough people who vote for exactly what we don't need? Yeah, sure can. Sure can. Thank you very much for giving us a call here. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. Folks, they are not even being subtle about it anymore. They're not being subtle about it anymore. They're not being nice about it anymore. They're letting you know illegal aliens are the answer. They're putting their money where their mouths are. They're putting out their mouthpieces like Roland Martin, even if he is inept, even if he is incompetent, even if he is incapable. That's the horse they're backing. They're backing that horse. We have made progress. We've made considerable progress. The amount of panic, the sheer panic that they're in right now, understand something. They're letting you know what I told you all from the beginning here. I stated it from this microphone. It was controversial. It usually is when I start out, but I keep saying it, and eventually it wins things over. Eventually it wins things over. When I said that after this election, they're going to be blaming black people and particularly black men. If the Democrats lose, they're going to be blaming black people and particularly black men. And I said the whole damn time, this is not something for us to run away from. This is something for us to lean into. You damn right. If you lose these elections and the Republicans take over, it is because black people, led by black men, changed the course of black politics. You can no longer try to scare us, threaten us, intimidate us, or frighten us. There are no boogeymen except us. We're the only boogeyman around here. And if we cannot all be equally comfortable, then damn it, we will all be equally uncomfortable. But the day and age of you giving us nothing and then threatening us, well, there's a Republican. I mean, I'm doing you wrong, but if you don't vote for me, the Republican gonna do you worse is what's gonna happen. So you better vote for me so I can do you wrong. How about I whoop both of your asses? How about that one? How about I whoop both of the Democrat and the Republicans' ass? How about I whoop both of them? But if you want to know where to lay the blame for that L you gonna take, if you want to know where to lay the blame for that loss you gonna take, right here. You can park it right here. You sure can. And after you done got the damn hickory put on your ass and the redness and the swelling has gone up, you can come waddle yourself back over here and we can tell you that what we told you was going to happen was exactly what was going to happen, and we can do this all over again in 2 years, in 2024, if you didn't get the message. And if you still didn't get the message in 2024, we can do this all over again in 2026, 2030, 2032, till Jesus comes back. We can do this all day, every year. Just tell us how long you want to get something put on your ass, and we'll tell you how long you gonna get it. But this is the new normal. So, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the real easy way. Whichever way you want it. But the bottom line is the new law is no tangibles, no vote. And we'll sit at home and watch you lose. I don't care if they bring in Herschel Walker. I don't care if they bring in Walker, Texas Ranger. I'll sit here and watch them all. But the bottom line is, if you will not listen to us when we talk, you'll listen to us in our silence. Let our actions speak for us. And yeah, if you lose this, yeah, we did it to you. We sure did. Can you hear me now? We're going to go ahead and wrap up here on tonight's program. I want to thank all of you for joining us here on the Black Channel. And if you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. And if you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, you want to go there and check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m., Gentrified, Race War, all available on DVD streaming on Amazon. Go to blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program here. So no, and everyone else who's contributed on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. Thank you very much for your support. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is the answer.